welcome to the future, because AI is not something in the past, it's something that's already started. In fact, it started back in the 50s. So I invite you here for the balance of the day to imagine it's the year 2021, 3 years into the future. It sounds not too far in the future, but in 3 years from now, the progress we see now will be so much more advanced than we can even imagine. So from that vantage point, I also invite you to rethink business as usual. Not only business the way we define it as something separate, but my business as a mother, as a friend, as a colleague. Business, it's everyone's business to really say, what can we do to advance the sustainability and resiliency of our world, not only for humanity, but for all living ecosystems. Also, listen to the speakers and your delegates and your partners here who are already tapping into the power of AI and other innovations to accelerate the discovery, the use, and development of solutions that are challenging our future. Our ability to feed our children and ourselves, our ability to fix disease, our ability to improve the environment, our ability to understand the impacts of extreme weather that we're already witnessing today. Also, think of the questions that you want to ask, the tough questions, the questions you're afraid to ask because you don't want to sound stupid. Well, guess what? We're all stupid in the sense that it's hard to know everything because things are moving so quickly. We're going faster than we ever had imagined in the past. Terry Stewart from Deloitte and Yannick Beaudoin from the David Zucchi Foundation will go into that. They're going to talk about the tangible and the intangible progress we're making and how the worlds of the digital world and the physical world are converging into one. We're one. So what does that mean to all of us here? It means we are connected. We're connected more than we can imagine on different levels than we have in the past. In 3 years from now, which is right now, 2021, we can even look across the room and see someone and recognize them and communicate without even moving. Is that scary? On one sense. Is it exciting? Yes, it is. So there's two things coming together.
So what have I noticed over the last number of years? So a decade of work on sustainability. A huge increase in awareness. And not just the negative awareness, sure, Houston, we have a problem, there's some issues. But also the opportunity, the sort of the innovation side, the awareness and the links and the connections at decision-making levels all around the world, in the UN, all the way down to even local communities, that's something that's wrong can actually be fixed, can be innovated, can be transformed. The shifting narratives is perhaps something that's most interesting to me. So I think you may have been seen familiar, everybody, with the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. It's a big global thing, and now, of course, these are all being nationalized. But there's different ways of looking at them. And one of the most interesting ways recently, and these are all things, again, all my interactions, my work, so this is not me in my opinion, but witnessing this from the outside in, visualizing what SDGs could look like if we understood that the physical planetary limits were actually the center of everything. Okay, so we can't go beyond those. So everything about every other SDG has to be achieved inside of that. That was an interesting shift, maybe in the last 5 years, that narrative, and these kinds of visuals started creeping up. And that, of course, has a profound effect on policy. So if you're trying to fix environmental problems, traditionally, you do environmental policy. Now there's a realization that most of the drivers, as we've seen in the 2 previous videos, of environmental challenges is actually economic policy. So poor economic policy. So planetary boundaries is a framework, a concept that's now becoming more and more known. Stockholm Resilience Center started this a number of years ago, more as a thought exercise, a very visual aspect of where we are. But now it can be easily backed up by real big data and the processing power that we have. So you're able to not just visualize the boundaries we're transecting, you're able to actually show and highlight and quantify them. We have problems all around the world with inequality in different ways. So we're doing all of this to the planet, and we're still not meeting the basic social goals that we profess that we want to achieve. You know, if we don't have people and we don't have planet in our economic models, how do we know the economic model is actually representative of the real world? We're putting all this policy energy into driving the maximization of one number, GDP, but we're not actually achieving the well-being that we're saying we want as a society. There's a disconnect. So is it possible, new thinking? So I get a lot of flack saying, well, you can't change the economy. And it's like, well, really? You know, the US did it 4 times in the 20th century, complete redesign. You know, for the war, past the Great Depression, the New Deal into the next war, at the end of the war, massive, complete structural change of an entire economic system. So, totally possible. We have AI, we have big data. We can bring on the complexity. So designing those tools is something that can be applied then to the new economic theory that we will need.